All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. The first agenda item is the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next agenda item is correspondence, visitors, and public comments. And hi, Siobhan, how are you tonight?
I am good. How are you guys?
Very good.
I do have one question. It says that the budget was reduced by capital improvement projects. But I had read somewhere, and I can't find it again exactly where I read it, but it was due to deferring payments. Is that accurate? Deferring payments
No,
on capital projects?
no, we cut a parking lot project and a lights project and some contingency funding in our capital plan, because we had already made adjustments to staffing already. And we are putting that project off until next year. So we're deferring it for a year, but it has nothing to do with deferred payments or anything like that. We hope to do it
I saw
next
the
year.
deferment. I couldn't remember. I apologize. Couldn't remember. That's why it's always best to just ask. One other thing, because we're public, and I'm just going to say this too. The SWAT enhancement project. This is putting my SWAT hat on. We do not have somebody sitting on our organization for Missisquoi Valley School District from Swanton since Terry left. So that position is open. I just want to throw it out here too. Megan or Stephanie, the newest member, if either of you want to jump into that, really obligations are we meet every 2 months, giving updates. If you go on YouTube and Northwest Access TV, SWAT enhancement project meetings, you can like kind of just catch up. Basically, different community stakeholders come together and we share updates of all the things going on. And we haven't been able to get any formal updates from the school district since Terry left. So and it doesn't necessarily have to be a board member either, even if, Julie, if you wanted to just put, a communication together. And even if you can't actually be there, it would just be beneficial and helpful if you guys could send some sort of update about what's going on with the school district, and then I or somebody else could just read that update, and then we'll be all more better communicated and connected.
That's great you bring that up, because when Terry was leaving, I thought you all forgot about us, because when Terry was leaving, we made a plan for Chris Dodge as the Swanton principal to go and join that group and attend every other month and be able to give updates about what's happening here in Swanton. And if it was district-wide, he'd ask me, we'd give some information to share. But yeah, we didn't get an invitation after we had said that Chris would be happy to do it.
Well, I reached out, not to call you up, I reached out to Megan and I'd asked, and I know everybody got really busy with all the things going on last year. So it's just, we just need somebody to step up. If you guys, Chris Dodge would be wonderful. We'd have our Swanton principal. I'm sure we don't need any kind of vote on our board to say who you guys would like to come and represent you. And we would just love for you guys to jump back into our table conversations and be a part of our group and our community as you already are. And just share, it's an opportunity to share all the positive things and whatnot the school district's doing, or any issues you may have. This year's focus for SEP, which shortens SWAT enhancement project, is centered around focusing on community health and substance misuse and working with youth. Our next speaker is going to be Melinda White out of St. Albans, and she's going to talk about some of the work she does. But yeah, we're trying to really get something, a focus on our youth, and our school especially, is a part of our youth. So our next meeting is the first Thursday in May. I think it's May 2nd. I believe it's May 2nd, but it's the first Thursday in May. And we'll meet at the library at 5:30 p.m. These meetings are open to the public and everybody's welcome. You don't have to just live in Swanton either. If people want to come along and see what our beautification committee is doing or what our town's doing, what's going to happen with bridge work, and et cetera. Because all these updates get shared there.
Siobhan, I'll plan to be at that meeting, and I'll reach out to you next week when we're back in session just to catch up a little bit more.
Sure, absolutely. I'm going to throw my email address in the chat box. You guys have one, and you just copy that down for yourself and just message. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, our next agenda item is budget revote questions and answers. Which, Siobhan, we answered all your questions that you had, I'm assuming?
I did, that's all I have.
Okay, I just
Thank
wanted to
you.
make sure. You're welcome. All right.
I was just mentioning to Peter and Joanne, I've heard very little about the budget. Before the town meeting vote, the town meeting day, and a day or two after, seems like it was constant chatter. So that may be good, but I don't know what more we can do, but we gotta make sure people realize that it's coming up.
Yeah, we got that on the agenda
Right,
for
yeah,
item
so
10 for sure
yeah.
to talk about that. So. All right, next agenda item is the agenda review. Julie, did you have anything?
I do not.
Okay, I do not either. So, next agenda item is the approval of the minutes for March 26th.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, thank you, Renick. Do I have a second to approve the minutes?
I'll second it for the.
Boy, it's a little quiet.
Add another 30 minutes to the meetings to decide if somebody's gonna second it.
I give you a big smile, Don.
You can second it and vote against it.
Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all those in favor of approving March 26th minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 8-0.
I'll abstain, Jeff.
7-0. 1. Thank you, Peter. And do I have a motion to approve the April 9th minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you,
I'll
Peter.
second that.
Thank you, Peter.
We're down, they're all.
Questions or comments or changes? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 8-0. All right, and then we got admin reports. Chris, is there anything you'd like to highlight from your admin report?
Thank you.
You can remind if you want.
Perfect. No.
Yeah, there were just a couple of things. I wrote a lot with the help of Deb Boucher this month about the new reading program, and I've had the opportunity to spend a lot of time in classrooms looking at that program, and really just want to underscore how rigorous and engaging students are finding that program. It feels like a really nice choice for students, and so folks are really enjoying that. We have a couple of teachers at each grade level that are piloting that program, and one of the conversations that I'm hearing a lot is how that is really promoting consistency grade level to grade level. Teachers are no longer having to pull materials and create all of their own reading program pieces. So I think that the kickoff to the reading program has been really exciting for us, both for kids and for students, which has been really nice. I also just would point out that I wrote a little bit about STEM Night, which is always a popular event here at Swanton. We had about 85 students and family members here. We have a great partnership with ECHO, and they come in and set up all of the stations for STEM Night for us, which is a really fun community engagement event. So those are a couple of pieces that are going really well for us.
Jen, I know with Jessica here, she gave us a really great math update last year. I see we have mathematics on here. I don't know if she has anything to add.
Is that the math chicken thing? I don't get to see the full principal report, but I add to it sometimes. I mean, the math program is going wonderful, and there's certain things that we have to supplement, and one of the things is math facts, both addition and subtraction in the Babcock building and multiplication and division in the central building. And we found a platform called Math Fact Lab that the kids are really enjoying, and there's a great connection for kids that really enforces the relationship between addition and subtraction and multiplication and division. And they take this initial placement task, and then they can level up. And to make it some little fun, competitive, like add bonus, I have done like a mini competition between classes. So if they level up, they get a point for their class. If they level up twice in 1 week, they get a point for they get 2 points for their class. And the class with the most points at the end of the week is the Math Chicken winners of the week. And so around Easter time, Walmart had these adorable plush chickens, and so they basically got like a basket with some Easter eggs with math problems in it, and there was like an equation and an answer, and so there was that and the chicken on top, and of course there were some allergy-friendly chocolates in there too. And then in 4th grade, there's like a little Math Chicken trophy too. That's kind of fun. So that's grades 1st through 5th right now that are doing the Math Fact Lab. So it's 5 different grade levels to have to produce a Math Chicken award for on Monday morning. So, but that's just one of the added bonuses that we add to what the program already offers.
Thank you.
School can be fun.
Yeah, so much fun.
There's a good article I just read from some national publication I get online, where somebody did research, and that schools where children feel they can go and have fun, their research says that it improves achievement. I didn't dig that deep to see if they just said it or not, but I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yep.
A comment, and I think all 3 of the elementary principals did it, but I think Chris probably had the most. But I really appreciated hearing about staffing, like we've hired these 2 or 3 people, or we've had a retirement. I know Joe's had a retirement. I know that Julie brings them in, tells us the names, but to hear, oh, this person is in this building and a little bit about them, I appreciated that very much.
Any other questions or comments for Swanton? Excuse me. All right, next we're gonna do Franklin, because Yeshua is not able to join us tonight, so we have Joyce's report. Joyce, was there anything particular you wanted to highlight off of your report?
It's also hard to pick one thing. I think maybe I would just do a shout out to Alita Boomhour tonight, because Alita, in addition to all the things she does as our school nurse, has just done an amazing job as our wellness leader. And we had so many more activities this year, just so many fun and healthy activities. Sorry, I got a dog here that wants my attention because I started talking. Really fun and healthy activities. And we had more participation this year than we've ever had. And she just does an amazing job with it. I'm actually drinking water and eating salad, so I know it's been a huge success this year. So when Dawn's talking about fun, learning is fun for kids, adults having fun, and all the things that we do to build our team wellness with our adults and with our kids. I mentioned March Madness in my report, and the basketball game with the kids, where that's adult wellness and kid wellness, and building that spirit of community and kind of seeing each other in a different light sometimes, and having those games and having that kind of fun. And of course, I had Pie Day on there. It's making me hungry looking at that picture right now. But just all the fun things that Alita really spearheaded this year. And we had a wellness/attendance committee. And I just think that it was really successful. And Alita just deserves so much credit for all she does as not only our school nurse, but how above and beyond she goes for everything she does. So that's my shout out to Alita tonight.
100% of students for your parent-teacher conferences.
Oh, thank you for mentioning that, Jen, because that was gonna be my runner-up thing that I was gonna mention. But I only wanted to do one thing. But yes, so I just always appreciate so much the dedication and really the perseverance on the part of teachers and parents to have every family have a conference, because I just think that participation is so important, and that partnership, and it just goes such a long way with helping all of our kids be successful, and just so appreciate everything that the teachers and parents do to make that happen. I'm hoping with the changes in the calendar for next year, we can still have that same level of participation. We'll work really hard at it.
I have a question for Joyce. Joyce, where are you with your phys ed position for next year?
So,
It's in there?
is it okay to talk about that now, Julie, before they go out later with the contracts?
It's fine,
Okay.
it's on the agenda.
Okay, all right, I missed that.
No, it's good for Joyce to
Is
tell
it
you.
okay?
I'd love for Joyce to tell you about the person.
Okay, so we interviewed, what was it, maybe a week and a half or so ago, and we had, his name's Brian Doyle, and he came back and did a teaching demo for us. He is currently was student teaching K-5 at Orchard School, and he came and did a teaching demo of an 8th grade class at MVU, and he, after that, came and visited at Franklin, and then he, anyway, so we contacted him, and he is going to accept the position. The contract should be there for you guys to sign tonight, and we are all, the committee with Dan and PE teachers from MVU, and Ashley Batchelder, Heather Digby, and I were on the committee from Franklin. And, you know, sometimes you have to, you know, things are worth waiting for. And we are really excited to have Brian joining our team. And Julie met him or online. And we're just really excited to be having him join us. He is going to come and visit as soon as he finishes his portfolio and some other things the next couple of weeks. He's going to come and observe some classes and spend a little time at Franklin and at MVU. He's really looking forward to that, and we are looking forward to having him do that. So we're very excited for the PE position to be filled for next year after all this time. Yay.
Thank you.
All right, anything else for Joyce? Thank you, Joyce.
Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome. You can sign off if you would like.
It's just a
Thank you. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye. No, Yeshua couldn't make it tonight. All right, next on the agenda, presentation discussion is cybersecurity. Darren.
I gotta share my screen.
Don't get hacked.
And let's pull up my presentation. This is awfully busy. Let's get rid of some of this stuff. All right. So I wanted to thank the board for allowing me to talk a little tonight on cybersecurity. We had this on the agenda earlier in the year, and I had to postpone it because I got sick, so I appreciate the flexibility. My goal tonight is really to just kind of give you a high overview of what cybersecurity looks like in the district, in school districts right now. Some of the challenges that we're facing, some of the threats, how we're attacking that, our goals, how we're getting organized, and really just kind of, I think it's important that the board is aware of, you know, what's out there, what we're dealing with. Luckily, we don't have any incidents to report or anything alarming or concerning. But in the future, if we did have a situation come up, I think, you know, and we wanted to meet and discuss it, the information tonight would be good base knowledge to have in those meetings. So let's jump right in. I got a lot of information. I feel really bad. We're cruising along, and I've got a ton of stuff to get through. So this first slide, I just really kind of wanted to talk about the why. Why are we talking about cybersecurity in a school board meeting? I identified three things here, and they're all pretty obvious, but they're all kind of related and they all kind of build off each other. The first one, the landscape has changed. We live in a digital world now. Everybody has a device. Everybody has access to the internet. Schools have sensitive information in their network on servers. I think back to when I was in school, I don't remember a computer being there until 3rd or 4th grade. Nobody cared about it because it didn't do much. Middle school, I remember we're playing Where in the World's Carmen San Diego, Oregon Trail on the library computers. And then when you get to high school, we're talking like mid-90s, we had computer labs. We started housing some information in the server rooms, on servers, student information. And then things really changed when the internet came around, because that information was accessible online now. So things really escalated also with COVID. 2020 hit, COVID happened, everybody got a device. Everybody was online, everybody got an email address. So that really escalated things. So we went from pen and paper to now we have all kinds of financial information, staff information, health information on our networks, on our devices. Landscape has changed. Which has resulted in the second item on here, we're a targeted industry, which probably sounds surprising, but because of those changes, we are targeted, and it's not even really close here. I'm going to show you guys a little graph. This is on Microsoft's website. This right here, I've been monitoring since about December. This is the reported malware encounters in the last 30 days by industry. This has not changed since December. It's not even close. Education is targeted right now. We are a targeted industry, and it's about 80% of reported malware just in the last 30 days. So that's pretty alarming, eye-opening. Why are we in this position now? Why are we being targeted? It goes back to that staff information. Information is worth money now. You would think, why isn't banking or financial, why aren't they being targeted? Why isn't government being targeted? Information is gold. It's worth money. We have a ton of it. I mentioned everyone has an email. And when you think about a school district, we're not in the business of IT. We're in the business of educating students. So the resources tend to be slim. So that is a reason why we're targeted. The bad guys know that the resources aren't usually there, and they're going to try to take advantage of that. If a school district has the resources and they have IT positions, security-specific positions, we went through this last year. It's hard to find people right now just to apply. We had 2 openings in IT last year, and we struggled to fill those roles. I really had to recruit hard just to get people to apply. And then you look at us, if you want somebody that worked in cybersecurity, that is a very specific, specialized role. You really want somebody that pays attention to detail, that's really diligent, it's a go-getter, so it makes it even more difficult to fill those openings. So we are targeted and we are not exempt. You think, we're in Vermont, we're fine. Well, UVM hospital was hacked. Everybody remembers that was a nationwide story. That was huge. That was very disruptive to their operations, financial. There was a huge financial hit from that. And you're seeing probably, well, that's a hospital. There's a lot of stuff going on. They're a big target. Just last year, I believe it was November or December, Milton School got hit with ransomware. So that was just down the road from us. So we are not exempt from this. We're targeted and we're not exempt. And then the last reason, it's our responsibility. This one's obvious. It's our obligation to protect the information on our network, to protect the students' information, protect our staffs. And we are required to also. We have to be compliant. We have to follow HIPAA, FERPA, COPPA, SIPA. There's all kinds of acts that we have to make sure we're compliant with. So that's a little bit of the why. The next thing I wanted to look at was some of the threats that we are facing. This isn't in any kind of order, but I would say the top two are probably the most common. The first one on the list is phishing. Usually this is in the form of email. Basically, somebody's trying to trick you through email to get information for financial gain, information or access for financial gain. So an example of that would be, I'm going to create an email address and pretend to be Julie Reginald. I'm going to email Laura McAllister in the business office, and I'm going to say, hey Laura, we have a new software that we want to roll out. It's a learning program. I'm really excited about it. They are offering us 50% off on this. If we pay today, can you wire them the money? I approve of it. Here's their banking information. So that's an example of a phishing email. And they're hoping that Laura has a bad day and wires money randomly to some bad person. Another example would be you get an email that says your Microsoft account password is expiring. Can you change it? You click on the link. It brings up what looks like a Microsoft page up. Put in your credentials, and either it goes away or nothing happens. And you're like, what's going on here? Really, what was happening on the back end? They had a fake Microsoft website. They just got your username and password. So this is a big threat. This is not only in education. This is everywhere. This is a huge business for the bad guys. The next one is
Derek,
yeah.
just on the phishing one, and I don't imagine you do this with the resources you have, but just something that happens at our work is the company will send emails out phishing, trying to catch you, and then if you delete it or whatever. Actually, we have a little thing icon. It's like if you think it's spam or whatever, hit that button.
Yes.
So it gets recorded or whatever.
We do that. I'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, he tricks. You always feel like you've won something when you don't fall for it.
That's right. But it's good practice.
It is very good practice.
We've had a lot of success from that.
Excellent.
So the next one is ransomware. That one, really that's somebody gaining access to your computer and or network, and then they're encrypting all your information, your files, so that they're not accessible. Usually you discover that by trying to go to like a file share or a file that you want to open. It doesn't open. You might get a pop-up that says, we've encrypted all your information. Please send us $1 million in Bitcoin and we'll send you the key to decrypt it. So they're holding your information for ransom. This has been a gold mine for the bad guys. It works. They use Bitcoins because it's not easily traceable. At one point early on, the FBI was advising people to pay the ransom so that you would get the key to decrypt. That has changed because it has been so successful. So that is a big one that we are, I mean, Milton got hit with it just in November, December. It's relentless. All the time we have to be prepared for that.
Derek,
Yeah.
can you just explain what Bitcoin is real quick? Just a simple, quick.
Digital currency.
It's
It's not. There's no physical. I can't explain Bitcoin because I don't even understand it.
Okay.
The bad guys like it because it's not easily traceable. And if you were to wire money to a bank account, there would be some kind of a, trace there that they could follow. So that's what I can say about Bitcoin.
Derek, so on the ransomware, I understand they encrypt it, but what about the backup system? Do they get that too? Is that what happens, or because I know
If you're not prepared, they could actually get your backup system. A lot of the backup software now that's out is prepared for that, so they're able to detect that, and there's a lot of detection software will see the files starting to encrypt, and they'll notice that behavior is not normal, and they'll shut it down, they'll stop it. So it is possible, but a lot of what's offered now for backups is aware of ransomware and will shut it down before it gets too far.
Milton, were they able to retrieve it through their backup?
Yes, they were, yep. The next item on here is DDoS. That stands for Distributed Denial of Service. This was really popular with kids back in the day. Basically what you could do is send a lot of traffic from all over the internet to one website and just kind of shut it down. Nobody would be able to access it. It wouldn't be able to handle all that traffic that got sent to it. Websites are sometimes vulnerable to a DDoS attack. I got malware on here. There's all kinds of malware. Malware is just short for malicious software. Ransomware is a form of malware. I put a couple on here. Keyloggers are malware on your computer. It tracks your keystrokes. If you bought something online with your credit card, it would have all those keystrokes captured. Passwords, anything you type is caught in a text file. There's worms, there's Trojans, some other things. Website defacement is, we see this sometimes at school districts. Somebody gains admin access to your website and hacks it up, puts inappropriate stuff on it, or just messes it all up so it looks like crap. Zoom bombing was popular when COVID hit. That's kind of, the software has evolved a little bit now, where we have waiting rooms and passwords to kind of avoid that Zoom bombing situation, and then credential stealing. So those are some, that's absolutely not the full list, but some of the bigger threats that we have to be aware of and face. And it can be overwhelming. So I'll take a break here and I'll stop. I threw this in here. With that information, I thought this meme would be appropriate. I can relate to Peter here. He's looks like he's pretty stressed out. This reminds me also of a quote I heard early on in my IT career. Somebody told me once, the good guys have to be right 100% of the time, and the bad guys only have to be right once. Not 1%, just one time for them to be successful. So, this is stressful. There's a lot of responsibility. We tend to do a lot with a little for resources in terms of technology and security. And I'd like to kind of tell you a little bit about what we're doing to kind of counteract this and kind of attack this head on. I'll start with when I started. I was really impressed with what the district was doing for cybersecurity. I hadn't worked in education before, so I didn't really know what I was coming into, but I didn't think there would be any really good security measures in place. So I gotta give kudos to the previous tech director and the previous network admin, Robert and Sylvia. They did a lot of good work in this area. Probably the biggest thing that was in place that I noticed was multi-factor authentication. This is huge. And I'll tell you what multi-factor is. We usually use a password to gain access to a website or a system. We've determined that's not sufficient anymore. Those are not enough to protect you. So when you're looking at multi-factor, there's 3 different kinds of factors. There's something you know, which would be a password or a PIN. Something you have, which would be your cell phone, so you can receive like a text or a message pops up on your phone saying, are you trying to log into the site? There's apps that have those random codes. We used to have those little keychain fobs that had the little codes on them that would change, but that's built right into the cell phone now. That would be something that you have. And then the third is something you are, which is just what it is. It's fingerprint reading, it's facial recognition, it's retina. So when we talk about multi-factor authentication, we are talking about more than one of those in place to secure a system. And we currently we let people use a password, and most people use their cell phone to log in to systems. So that was in place probably 3 years ago at this point. I gotta say that we were probably one of the first school districts in the state to have that in place. And with that in place, a lot of risk is mitigated. And it's really hard to push that out. I came from healthcare. We struggled pushing that out because it's a change of way of how you log in, right? It adds 30 seconds every time you log in. It changes how you do your job, and people are really resistant to it. So I was really happy to see that in place. Some other things, auditing of Google accounts, not just Google accounts, all accounts. So permissions were being verified, groups were being verified, making sure people were in the right spot. That was being done continuously. They practice here the least amount of privilege, which basically just makes sure that you have enough access to do your job and nothing more. So if Joanne's account got hacked and she had access to everything and she didn't need it, that's an unnecessary risk for us. But if she only has access to the board drive, we're sitting pretty, because then we just know that board drive is affected. Rusty, I know, had gone through, I gotta give him kudos, he's our data manager. He went in through Power School, created custom roles for each of our staff, because what came packaged with Power School didn't fit our needs. So he had to go and work with staff to see what students do you work with. Do you work, in multiple schools, and really creating those roles customized to their positions. And that was a huge overhaul. And then a really good onboarding and offboarding process. Rusty helped, I think, build that. We know that any new hires are coming from Bonnie, they're coming from HR. We're not gonna get random requests for people to be set up. And the same thing for offboarding. If somebody's leaving, we'll get a notification. If there's a whole checklist, everybody's notified. That needs to be notified that they're leaving. We can make sure that we shut down accounts as people leave and they're not just left on the network. So those were some of the things that were in place when I got here. So in the last year and a half, 2 years since I've been here, we have rolled out some stuff here. We talked about the phishing campaigns. So just, we run these on a schedule. We send out a fake email that is a phishing email. We don't try to see if people will click. We get a report back to see if, we don't care if people actually click on the email. We're more focused on the attachments and the links, because that's when the bad stuff will happen. And we get a report every month on that. And I always know when those are scheduled. I always know when they kick off because my phone starts ringing. I start getting chat messages. Chris is emailing me saying, "What the heck are you trying to do to me here?" This has been very successful. I'll show you our results here in a second, but kind of builds a little camaraderie. You know, I'm always very encouraging when people contact me and say, "Hey, this came through and looks sketchy to me." So we're just really raising that awareness and keeping that on, you know, the top of people's minds. I'll show you a graph here. So that's a little small, but you can see it's a line graph. Beginning of the school year, we ran our first baseline test. 20% of our staff clicked on the link or attachment in email. So 1 in 5. It's not good at all. Part of this training, or part of this, these campaigns, if you click on the link, you get a pop-up, and there could be like a little video, there could be just a little slide that says, "Hey, this was a phishing email." You could have, these things were indicators that it was a phishing email. And we really work on the awareness piece of this, and you can see that we have gotten progressively better as the school year has gone on. So really, really happy to see that be successful. Incident response planning, this was big with this Agency of Education. They're really pushing for a policy around this, and I kind of pushed back with a few others saying that a policy wasn't necessarily appropriate because it would have sensitive information and information that would change often. And all this is if we were to be hit with some kind of cyber attack, this is our plan. This is how we attack this, how we deal with it. We adopted a run book that really just maps things out. We're finalizing some stuff in that. But for us, it's really, we've seen a few schools go through this now, and it's really cookie cutter how this would all pan out. You know, staff or IT would identify that there was a situation and we need to report it. We would reach out to our cybersecurity insurance company, and they would work with us directly and get us in touch with the appropriate people from there. So we've done some work in that area. Inventory cleanup, this was huge. I think I put this in a board report. We didn't have a great system in place. Everybody was kind of still doing their own thing in each school in terms of inventory. We've got one central place for inventory now. We're consistent on our processes there. Really, this is like step one in terms of cybersecurity. How can you protect your network if you don't know what you have? Like, this was one of the first things we wanted to make sure that we tackled. CISA scheduled scans. CISA is a government agency, cybersecurity and infrastructure security agency. We partnered with them. They scan our public IPs at each location to see if there's any vulnerabilities or any security gaps that we need to fill. We just partnered with New Harbor. That is a security company right out of Colchester. They focus on cybersecurity. That's what they do. They have a lot of government contracts. We worked with them for an MDR. MDR is Managed Detection and Response System. That we used to have like antivirus on computers. That's not sufficient anymore. We have MDR now that detects behavior, that can detect if ransomware is starting to kick off. And that will go on all our Windows and Mac computers and servers. The good thing with that is there's a security center that's monitoring 24/7. If something comes through, we're gonna know. We're gonna be alerted of it. October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. I bugged heck out of people all month with notifications of
Change your password.
tips and password, anything I can throw out there just to raise awareness and, and then just keeping the tech team informed on, what's out there. We really kind of tackle this as a team, which I really like. If there's a good webinar on something that is going on security-wise, and we'll pass it around, and some of us will attend. If it's recorded, we'll catch that. There was just a debrief on the Milton situation, which was really nice to hear firsthand how they detected it, how they responded, their experience around that. So, I've done two.
Do people in your position here, is there a group that meets in the state, like, I know the superintendent, principals, business managers, people may, but is there an organized group, or is it just because you know somebody you can chat with them?
So we have a listserv. It's for the IT people that work in the school districts, as tech directors. Actually, this next item I'm going to talk about, there is a conference every year down in Killington for the tech people. And actually, this next item I'm going to talk about came from that conference. So all those things that we're doing are good. Those are great things, but we kind of felt like we were playing a little bit of whack-a-mole, where there's so much, and there's, we're dealing with things as they come up, or as we get guidance from the state, or, as we are reading something. Just, we weren't really organized in our attack. When I was down at Vermont Fest, somebody was presenting on this tool called the Cybersecurity Rubric. And I don't know why I linked the website here, but if you guys are interested, you can check it out. This is what the Cybersecurity Rubric looks like. This is an example. There's a lot going on here. I'll try my best to explain it. But really what it is it's a self-evaluation tool. You answer questions, specific questions in specific areas in security, and you receive a maturity score. So this is all based off from the NIST Cybersecurity Framework, which is a government agency. They developed the framework for critical infrastructure systems. So we're thinking like power companies and like utilities. So very extensive security measures. This is like a really good blueprint for those organizations. Honestly, it probably goes above and beyond what we would need as a school district. That's where the cybersecurity rubric comes in. This is targeted for school districts, and it's kind of broken down to relevant pieces that we need to pay attention to. So try to show you here, there's five functions in here. As you go through, you answer questions about each function. The functions are identify, protect, detect, respond, recover, and that's really just like the whole life cycle of cybersecurity, right? Like identify is dealing with your inventory, dealing with your user accounts. Protect is related to what kind of antivirus or MDR you have, firewall. It really gets in depth. I won't go too far into the weeds on this, but as you answer questions for each one, you get a score, and then these are averaged out up here for a total overall maturity score.
I just want to summarize this. So are we the blue, and then we're in the yellow for the respond? Is
So
that
this
where
is just an
you're coming
example.
at? Oh, okay.
This is just an example. I did I might be too paranoid. I didn't want to put ours up there and
Right,
put us
fair.
at some kind of risk, somebody could identify us. But I did put this in the board drive, and I'll tell you our score was pretty low. I was surprised at how low our score was. It was 1.9. I was disappointed because I thought for sure we would be up in the 3s, maybe the 4s, but I actually learned quite a bit about our processes and procedures, and stuff that we need to improve on. What I will say is, if you do all the things that are in level 2 and level 3, but you don't do all the things in level 1, you're still in level 1. So there's a lot of little nitpicky things that we need to clean up. They'll be pretty easy for us to do to bump our score up, which is encouraging. So this, I'm really excited about this. This gives us some data to work off, some real, actionable items. We can be proactive about cybersecurity now instead of just picking off things as they come up. We can have a targeted attack and really focus on our weak spots. Yeah, so I guess my next slide here was our findings. I did gray off the first one. Again, that was just as a precaution. We identified something that we would like to address. That is also in the board drive if you'd like to see it. You guys can absolutely email me if you have any questions about that. But these are our findings from going through this rubric, and we do a lot of training, we do a lot of information sharing, but one thing that we discovered that we don't do with our mandatory trainings, the compliance trainings, like our first aid, bullying, harassment trainings, we don't have a cybersecurity training. So there's a gap for us to fill. A lot of what we're missing in the rubric is not formalized processes, but documented processes and procedures for the things that we do every day. So we might know that we need to do X, Y, and Z, and we do it, but it's not documented. It's not a formal procedure written down. If the IT staff were to be removed and a new IT staff came in, they wouldn't have anything to know what our procedure was. So we're gonna have to go through and really document things. A pen test would be good in the future. That is when you hire somebody to come in and really try to break into your network. They'll try to find any hole in your network, and they report back to you after, and then you can fix those issues as they come up. That's something that we're missing. Inventory software, we did a really good job with the physical systems. The software now we really got to tackle. Software, it's easy to pick up a computer and see that it exists, and we got a tag on it. Software is a whole different animal. We're formalizing a process for staff requesting software, and we're also, Rusty has built me a program to inventory our software. So I'm really excited about that and cleaning that up. It's also recommended that we back up our Google Workspace. So this would be all our email, our drives, Google Classroom. Google is redundant and backed up. If something's deleted, it's there for 30 days, you can recover it. If something were to be deleted 60 days, there's potential that we wouldn't be able to recover it. So there's that risk. And then the chances of it happening are slim, but if Google was inaccessible or there was something in between preventing us from getting to Google for an extended amount of time, we could have a local backup of our Google Workspace, and people could access their files. And then network monitoring software, that was another thing, to be a little more proactive, to let us know if a system's down, if somebody made a major configuration change to one of our devices. You know, checking to see if, you know, bandwidth is going crazy at Swanton School, but it's vacation. That's something that we'd want to look at and see what's going on. So those were our findings. Those were the big things. These are our goals and some timelines based off those findings. I don't have to go through each one of these. I did block off that first one again. That's something we're currently actively looking at. The documenting procedures, we are just going to be continually, as we do things, we're going to be documenting things. I told you about the software approval. We're hoping to push that out this summer. Network monitoring, hoping for this summer. One thing I didn't mention about the rubric, the cybersecurity rubric. They offer a training and they offer a certification test. I went through that training and got certified. What that allows me to do now is to go to another school district and do their evaluation. So get like they could get a second opinion on their rubric, get an outsider's perspective. And the idea is we partner with a district that has another person that's certified, and they do our network and we do theirs. So we get that second opinion, make sure we're not overlooking anything. And then the last two are just kind of pushed out, you know, backing up Google and the external pen tests. Those are things that are not burning. They would be nice to have. We'll definitely research what we can do for those two things. So I think I probably bored you enough, but that's kind of a high-level overview. Hopefully we don't have any situations in the future where we have to report. I'm hoping that we can revisit this next April, next May, and say these were our goals last year. We accomplished this, this, and this, and these are our new goals, and we can keep moving forward. So.
Question time.
Sure.
So you have backup Google Workspace not until summer of 2025, but isn't the Google Workspace where the students put all of their work?
It is, yep. The likelihood of Google going down is slim, so we, you know, they're large, they have a lot of redundancies put in. So that is not as burning of an item, I would say. We're definitely looking at it. What it's gonna end up being is we're gonna need a piece of hardware at MVU, say, and we're just copying everything from Google down to that device.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can do it with something we have currently. I'm not sure that we have enough disk space. We're talking terabytes of information, but we're looking at it. It's just, I'd say in the list of things that would be something that we don't have to be urgent about it.
Just wanted to make sure, because I know that's where they put all of their work and
Yeah.
their portfolios
Well,
and stuff, so.
all our information, I mean, all our file shares, email, there's a lot.
Anybody else have any questions?
I do. I know it's a lot of information. I appreciate you sharing that with us. It's you know, it's IT, but it affects all of us. So I have two questions for you. One, is any of these cyber attacks or cybersecurity threats aimed at the students? Because I know we talked a lot about staff and admin and stuff, but all the students have emails and stuff. So are we seeing any of these things coming to them?
So a limited amount of students have access to email, internal.
Okay.
So that really mitigates a lot of the risk. But everybody really is at risk. Anything that's behind our firewall on a device is at risk.
So then, like this kind of information, right? Because this is a reality for us,
Yep.
right? Like cybersecurity, protecting your passwords. I've had my accounts frauded and stuff like that multiple times. So, is some of this information being shared with students in terms of like ways to learn how to protect yourself as they create accounts and passwords and multiple accounts? Like, are these things that are just going out to them? At some point, I would imagine this would be for like the high school level, but.
Oh, even here,
It's the digital citizenship coursework
Okay.
that they do here as part of their technology work.
So the librarians deal with that a bit. The
Dunn Mitchell
tech,
has
the
a
tech
couple
integrationists, they deal with that. They talk about passwords with the kids starting young. I think at Swanton, for a while, they were just using the same password. Now that they create their own, I think they have unique passwords. So there is a bit of that is taught to the kids.
And is there a class on creating good emails? Because as adults, some of us have emails from long ago, which I don't know, should have. No, I
never send an email if you have doubts.
No, I had this person I was dealing with for work, and they sent me like, "Come in your email," and it was like ice cream 234.
Oh gosh,
no.
Yes.
I mean, I get it. Your name was Sunday, but still. Okay, well, thank you, Derek. I appreciate it.
People should
It's a real
know
thing.
better.
It was a
It
real
is.
thing. That was your email. I was like,
We see them on applicants sometimes.
Yes,
for
sometimes you
professional
don't
jobs.
want to interview somebody whose personal email is odd.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, tell the kids now when you make your email account at Yahoo or Gmail, pick something that you can use in 10 years. All right. Well, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Derek.
You're welcome.
All right, next agenda item is new professional hires with action. Assistant principal candidate, action with possible funding for executive session.
So we have, and Megan is not able to be here, but she served on our search committee in our interview process. We had posted the assistant principal position because unfortunately Justina has decided that she's going to do something different next year. And so we had several candidates. We had the committee screen the candidates. We had 4 that we wanted to interview. 1 dropped out. We interviewed 3 candidates last week. Was it just last
Thursday.
week? Yeah. And I had a series of questions and obviously reference afterwards. And the unanimous decision of the committee was for me to recommend to the board for hire Jess Borba.
Didn't know it was unanimous.
It was unanimous, and Jess is currently our math coach here in Swanton, and happy to have her tell a little bit about herself to the board. We will discuss her hire in executive session, I assume, but we're very excited about her candidacy, and one of the words used to describe her by a teacher on the committee was that she's inspirational. So I'm just going to mention that forever.
Thanks.
I would suggest that we not allow her to become assistant principal until she finds someone as competent as she is to fill her position.
I'm working on it, actually.
Or you can do both jobs at the same time. I mean, that's not.
She's going to be very busy, Don.
No, that's wonderful. If we can find somebody internally that has the qualifications, but your job is going to be a hard one to fill.
Do you have anything you wanted to share about? Don't know.
I didn't really want to leave my job. I really love the math coaching position. And I really want great leadership for our school. And I feel like I have the energy and the passion to be able to fulfill that position. And so I went for it, and I'm really excited for next year. And whoever does take that position, I plan on supporting them right along, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's probably not appropriate at this time, but I'm going to do it anyway. You got a hard act to follow.
I love Jess. Jess is very driven. She's very inspirational. I use the term driven when we were talking about it, so Jess will do just fine. She's going to do great.
I don't doubt it.
Thanks.
Chris, anything you want to say about her?
I'm very excited about working with Jess. I think that we've had an opportunity to work together in her math capacity for 3 years. Selfishly, the learning curve for Jess is going to be so much easier than an outside candidate. So she will be able to hit the ground running in a way that an outside candidate would not be able to do. But one of the things that I really appreciate about Jess is that she really is very instructionally focused and data driven, and those are two really significant strengths of hers. And one of the things that I said to the committee is that I think that when there are a whole host of things that I would look for in a co-leader here at Swanton, but one of those things is someone that will raise me up to in my position. I think that is a real benefit of having a principal and an assistant principal, and there are many strengths that Justina has that are not areas of strength for me, and I would like to think that maybe vice versa. And Justina has made me better at so many parts of my job. And when I think about the opportunity to work with Jess is someone that will continue that, and I really feel like our students will benefit, and I will benefit, and I will hopefully have something to offer Jess as she enters a leadership role. So I'm very, very excited to be working with her in a new capacity.
Well, I just want to say, I think I missed it, because I was asking Jen, I was in your notes. Thank you for what you've done, Justina.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, and look forward, if that is a decision, from everything you've done for the math work. It's been a lot of good stuff, so thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I did miss the last board meeting. It was registration night at MVU, so our last Swanton meeting, I was not able to come, so.
Our daughters are best friends, so we'll still stay in touch.
Was Megan the board representative that sat on the?
Megan, yes.
Good.
All right, seeing no other questions or comments,
Do you need anything?
we're not gonna go into executive until after, and then we'll vote and talk about.
Jen, I would also really love to say that I really appreciated Bonnie Moulton's work in the process as well. She did a really nice job at working with Julie, of course, just in facilitating and setting up the process and making sure that all of the key stakeholders really got included and voices were heard along the way, and the process really happened, I felt like, with a lot of integrity. And so that certainly is the result of some people who are sitting here at the table, but Bonnie also played a key role in that process.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right, next agenda item is teacher hires.
So, and I have 6 teachers to get approval. I've met every single one of them, but Dawn, I can't at the top of my head remember all the things about all of them. But, because I know, but I don't have that when there's 6, and I met them, last week or 2 weeks ago. But when I do remember something, because it was yesterday or something, then I usually can pull that out. We've got some great candidates that we've been really impressed, and maybe Chris will be able to share an anecdote about some. Our first is Cassandra Libby, who will be a classroom teacher here in Swanton. The second is Eliza Tooley, who will also be a classroom teacher here in Swanton. I think Eliza has some teaching experience and is coming here. Jenny Quinn will be a new early childhood special educator. Arlie Hiskey will be a school counselor in Highgate. Brian Doyle, you heard a little bit from Joyce, has been hired as a phys ed teacher to be shared between MVU and Franklin. And Maggie Sorrentino, who came on Friday, and she did a tour of the school, and I met with her. She's brilliant. I mean, they're all brilliant, but she struck me as particularly brilliant. She will be a classroom teacher here in Swanton, and I think at least 2 of them are going to be in 1st grade, right?
Yep.
So we're really putting some rock star teachers into our 1st grade, really to impact literacy and early math.
And 2 did come with previous teaching experience.
Yes, 2 of those. So we're really excited about, and Maggie, one of the things she said to me is she went right from her bachelor's into a master's program so that she could specialize deeper in language and literacy. And her colleagues are teaching here from cohort of students in school, are teaching here in Swanton and said it's a wonderful place to teach. Please come, you want to be here. So I thought that spoke volumes.
Julie, do we get many candidates? I know sometimes depending on when you do it in the meeting, but you tell us about if they've had experience, but are we getting experienced people from other schools who've been around, say, 2 or 3 years, 4 years?
2 of these are,
2 of
yes,
them.
yes. So it's a mixed bag, but we are getting, I think, we're doing pretty well with our candidates.
Yep.
The quicker we move, the better the pool of candidates we get. Yeah,
Hopefully we keep.
we do.
Yeah, and I think like Julie said, more and more and more, I'm hearing when the candidates come in to speak with us, they're saying, I have a friend who's teaching 1st grade right now at Swanton. And the folks, some of the newer folks that we've hired are really talking it up and talking about what a good place it is to be. So like Julie said, that's really encouraging to me that they are saying that to their colleagues who are either 1st or 2nd year teachers somewhere else or just graduating. And I really think that's going to help our retention of teachers when you get that cohort of folks that are together like that. So that is exciting, like Julie said.
Yeah.
A quote from Maggie was, I really like the vibe in Swanton.
Yes. She really did. Excellent. Great.
So the ECP teacher, that's not for, we haven't found anybody for Franklin Preschool?
Not yet.
No.
We renew those out. We repost all the time, so it always comes to the top of School Spring.
So where's this person going to be?
I believe she'll be in Swanton.
Okay.
But the position currently is Swanton and some of Highgate.
Yep.
So every year it really, you look at the numbers.
Sure. No, I understand. You used to put who they replaced.
I do have that. I didn't put that in this spreadsheet. I was
Okay.
cutting it quick. But I can share that in the drive.
Okay.
That's fine.
And I'll make the motion to approve the teacher hires.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Nick's the first. And Stephanie's the second. Any other questions? Excuse me. All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 8-0. Next agenda item is investments and borrowing, the first reading.
I'm going to let Laura take the lead on this. This is a policy that came out of a recommendation from our auditors. It's something that would be good to have, and they're recommending to many school districts.
So a lot of what, I guess there's already a lot of rules and regulations around what school districts can do as far as borrowing and investing funds, as you all have heard me talk about before. And also still best practice comes into play, and still internal controls is obviously a big part of what we do in the financial office. So this just kind of documents that, that we are keeping and safeguarding school district funds and soliciting rates that are competitive and really just looking out for the best interest of the school district. There is a little bit of confusion, I guess, in the state right now around why the auditors are recommending this, and they haven't recommended it before. So I've been talking to many of the other business managers and actually put out a listserv email asking who had them, who didn't have them, samples and all of that. But we chose to go with the one that was recommended from the auditors as the model, and it does sound like most people will be adopting them in the near future if they don't have them. There was a question today about what it meant to, sorry, I don't want to misspeak. Limited, I think it was limited, low risk financial vehicles, to try to speak to that. Basically, the only thing that the school district is allowed to do that would be considered low risk is investing in a reinvestment account at a higher rate, and we already do that. So we enter into a tax anticipation note at one rate, we then take that money out, we reinvest it at a higher rate, and then we make money off. We pay our interest on one loan, but we secure a higher level of interest on the other side. So we end up making a couple $100,000 off of that transaction currently. That's been the last couple of years because rates are really good. So that would be the only thing. There's basically no risk. It should really say no risk. Some school districts do a little bit of investing in stocks or bonds, but there's basically no risk in the stocks and bonds that they're investing in. And right now, we would not do any better financially in that kind of investment than we would with the reinvestment account.
Who monitors, or is it monitored by the state on our return on investments? Is there a place where you have to report what kind of money you...
No, well, only if you're concerned about arbitrage. So when we do the cash flows and we propose the transaction to banks, or this kind of procedure to banks, we have to confirm that we will not be meeting the arbitrage standards, and that there will be no arbitrage, basically based on our cash flow. So there's a cap on how much money we can make on those funds, and then the auditors would be the ones that would then audit that and let us know if we have any issue.
Okay, so if it's an issue, it would show up in an audit report as
Yeah,
a
but
recommendation.
basically we would know ahead of time, because a bank and legal counsel that's involved would not allow us to enter into a situation where that would happen.
Okay.
So this is just the first reading. We will bring it to the next one for adoption. It's warned on our website.
It says date warned 4/12, is that supposed to be 5?
That's when it was put up on the website.
Oh, that's the day it was put on the website.
Right, any other questions or comments?
So we'll look to approve this next meeting?
Absolutely. They like to have it up twice so people call attention to.
I would note that you'll be looking at our audit for fiscal year '23 fairly soon. I'll be bringing it to the finance committee and then the full board, but the recommendation for this policy was the only item that was written up in our management letter. So other than that, we did very, very well. So good news there.
You mentioned, you asked if others, I didn't hear what the percentage or how many have this policy.
I would say less than a quarter at the moment. Probably in the next couple of months, it would probably be closer to 75%. R.H.R. Smith audits most of the school districts in the state, and so I think
It's a theme.
yeah.
Now that they're making this recommendation, I think we're going to start seeing our neighbors with this policy.
And it probably has to do with the higher interest rates, higher yield,
Yeah.
Right, next agenda item is budget revote and committee updates. So first we have the Student Success Committee. Joanne, if you could give a nice little update of your meeting that you had.
So our meeting was really just a recap, I guess, of the past year, because we wanted to welcome Stephanie and Elaine to our committee and just kind of go through what we had done. And then just possibly look at the up and coming year, things we would be interested in. So we would like to meet a little bit more often. So thank you to Julie and Kosha for possibly being able to work on that calendar. We also went through topics, I guess, not so much subjects, but topics that we would like to do possibly a deeper dive on at the committee level. And I'll just quickly run through these. So we talked about just the student climate and data information, proficiency grading versus proficiency learning, the attendance, just multiple snapshots throughout the year. How is our attendance doing throughout the year? The program of studies, so dual enrollment, and then AP classes, also the just classes that are being offered in general. What are students looking for? What are we offering? What maybe is not being really filled that much? What are students less interested in? Like, times are changing all the time, like as our IT director was, times are just changing. So portrait of a graduate, just staying informed on that. The PLP, so the personalized learning plans. The 5-year literacy plan, behavior data, artificial intelligence, and how our schools, how our classes, how our teachers are dealing with that. And then just also we brought in there just teacher retention and teacher data. So Julie, correct me if I'm wrong, I think May is the continuous improvement plan. Mm-hmm. And was Yashua planning on doing the EduClimber also for May, or is that later? I know he's pretty excited about it. So you got to get
do it at the drop of the hat.
Okay, so you got to make sure that he's on there because
we did want to end the year with an opportunity to talk a little bit about proficiency-based grading and learning, because we want to really be responsive to the interest. And the continuous improvement plan is a 5-year plan. Mm-hmm. So that is going to be rolled into our strategic plan that we're working on. We're trying to make sure that they're together and nothing is interfering, so that our goals are all aligned over a 5-year period. And then in June, we're hoping to do some of the end of year data that we have, so that you can then we won't have all of it, because our post-secondary outcomes, some of that data will be coming in the fall. But we'll be able to work with Student Success to share some of that data as well. That'll help us with the summer retreat and so forth.
Oh, summer retreat?
What? I'm making an assumption, Joey.
I know Julie received the email. I don't know how many other people did, but Toby McGuire raised some points about the Career Center and what's happening there. Toby represented us. I don't know how many meetings he went to.
He didn't.
He didn't go. He's just a representative. Anyway, but he raised some issues which I thought maybe the Committee on Student Success might want to look at. And I'll let Julie say yes or no, but apparently our students like it, but I think he raised the issue of, are we getting what we pay for, or do we have a voice? I don't know, but it came out this week.
Yes, and a lot of it has to do with scheduling and the times when Maple Run is not in session and we are, and vice versa. Much of that is being eliminated by a change in schedule, where we will have the same teacher conference days. We will have all of those. Still, that school district has early release every Wednesday. We don't do that. We have a half day twice a year. So there are a few things that continue to be a challenge. And a lot of that, as Toby would point out, has to do with the fact that the governance a tech center doesn't have its own governance. It's part of a school system.
My thinking along that was, and I don't know if the committee would get involved in that, but it'd be interesting to get some feedback from students who have been there and maybe graduated, completed, or didn't, and I don't know what the process is, but I think it was, he raised a good point. What he doesn't realize, that point's been around for at least 50 years. But it's one that, it's all about governance.
It is.
When you say there's no governance,
Student Success at the Career Center.
The Tech Center
has a director.
Yes, and who is, the Maple Run School Board is responsible for that tech center. They're part of that school district. There are other career and technical centers in Vermont that are their own district with their own board and their own budget, right? So, and then there's so many different, Vermont, you can only imagine the landscape of tech. That needs to be addressed. There was a very good report, I'm gonna forget the initials of it, that came out with recommendations about improvement for tech center, career and technical education in Vermont. One of them had to do with common calendar across Vermont. One of them had to do with restructuring of governance. And another recommendation had to do with the funding for technical education coming right out of the ed fund, and so school districts didn't need to budget for that. None of those recommendations ended up in any legislation. The Agency of Ed created its own legislation that did not touch on any of those pieces.
So
But we are pushing for those things now.
So Don's saying is that the question is are we getting the return for what work? Because we pay for that.
We do pay tuition, yes,
We pay when kids attend.
when kids attend.
How many students do we have?
It's all about
We have
money.
more than
It's all
60
about the money,
this year,
for
which is a
sure.
big increase. We've been increasing the number of students who attend. They get good value in terms of their outcome. It's a wonderful program. They have many offerings. It would be an opportunity for us to bring at one of our student success committees, and this board has, not all the same people on this board, but you've had presentations from our regional tech center in past years. It maybe next fall would be a time for us to do that again, because we didn't do it this year, we did it last year.
Could you maybe plan out to have that as
Absolutely.
an agenda item?
I know Leanne would be happy to come.
Yep, that'd be great.
It has gotten better
Oh,
over
yeah.
the years.
And they have to do an analysis every so many years to make sure that the programs they offer result in accreditation and hire at high wage jobs. So you have to be able to leave ready.
So next meeting's in May, you said, you think?
Yes.
Thank you. Next is budget promotions. So I think one of the things that we wanted to do is hear successes of because we had people at Footloose for the weekend. We had coffee hour in Franklin. Rennick and I did spaghetti dinner, and then Rennick also went to the select board meeting in Highgate. So we kind of wanted to hear a little feedback on that. And we'll start with the Footloose musical. Was there a lot of success?
Megan went on Thursday.
Megan went on Thursday.
I went Friday and Laura did Saturday. We had our lawn sign up on a table so that everyone could see. We had those flyers. Joanne has one in front of her there. We handed out some of those, made them available. Mostly people just wanted to go in and see. There wasn't a lot of engagement, but we did talk to some folks and we made sure people were aware of the vote. And then we had Saturday, we had the Franklin visit. That was very successful.
Looking at you, Joanne.
Yes, we're looking at you, Joanne.
I already spoke. I'll let Peter or Pierrette speak.
Give Peter a chance to talk.
Yeah,
We don't get a chance
I'm not
to hear you
saying
talk
too
much.
Peter can go.
I was very pleased. I mean, obviously would have liked more people. We had between 14 or 20, somewhere in there, that range of people. But it was very engageful. I think almost everybody there spoke. We even had one person that said that they voted it down last time, but with, they were impressed with the information. We had those flyers we handed out, and we, spoke about the budget as well and the vote. And they said they were going to vote yes this time because, they feel like they had the information they needed. In a separate meeting, not that one, I had another person come up to me and say, really impressed with how you have presented the budget very detailed, and they were appreciative of that, so I thought that was positive as well. But no, the meeting itself, and we had, you know, 2 representatives and a senator there as well. They all spoke, and no, I thought it was, Perrette, if you have anything else you wanted to add?
Well, I think that, you know, I thought it was, you know, it was well attended, really. I mean,
Yeah.
we always want more, but I
Right.
mean, certainly I've seen where we've had 2, 3 people. So I think that, you know, when you're getting into the teens, I think that was, and I thought it was really good feedback from them. I really felt like they had a better understanding, especially, there were some things that we pointed out that they really just didn't know, you know, they just didn't realize. And so I thought that, you know, we had a couple of folks said, oh, we didn't know that, we didn't realize that. And so I thought, you know, I really felt like we certainly made an impact with the folks who were there. And I took these flyers, and I had a bunch of them, so I went to the town clerk's office afterwards, and I put a bunch out there for people to pick up. And you know, it was probably, it went as well as I think it could have, you know.
And hopefully they speak around town and talk and influence others, so.
I thought it was nice that one of the representatives said that the voters should trust their elected officials who've worked very hard and put forward a responsible budget, and that they should support it.
Matt Walker and Wayne LaRush, and then Bob Norris was there as well.
How was the spaghetti dinner?
Well, I thought it went quite well. We were set up when everybody walked into the cafeteria to get their food, handing out some of the flyers as well, and some people said that they did get them in their students' folders.
We leafleted the children of Swanton and Highgate and Franklin.
It was
They all went
great.
home. I folded them myself.
I got a lot of good feedback from people, you know, because like, you know, I pushed them like, you know, this is the flyer saying, you know, this is what we brought our budget down, and also in the flyers what we do for, you know, our kids and stuff. And I didn't get anybody had any ill feelings. I actually had probably about 3 couples say that they already, one older couple and 2 child age couples say that they already pre-voted. And I was amazed because the elderly couple that said they already pre-voted said they scanned the QR code. I was like, yeah. Right.
Keep up those QR codes.
Scan that QR code, that was great. I thought it went rather well. What do you think, Barnick?
Well, you carried the spaghetti dinner because I have 3 kids who go to Highgate, and so the 2 youngest just spent the whole time running after the oldest. So Jen did all the work. But for the minutes, yes, she always does a great job with that spaghetti dinner. It was a big hit.
Yes.
Because yeah, the oldest is graduating this year, so they were all excited. And yeah, I thought it was good. I think the biggest thing is that most parents are just not tracking, right? So older. That's what I say that. The parents are just, it's just not on their radar. So a lot of parents are walking by like, oh yeah, there's a vote. Whereas some other community members are, you know, they're like, okay, I saw that, I did the work, stuff like that. So that was good to get that out for the spaghetti dinner. For those we could. I don't know if Swanton has anything similar. I would put it out there that maybe on Monday, put a big reminder to parents, like as there's pickup or whatever, like or an email, go vote.
We're doing that throughout this week. We're doing reminders to all families that the vote's coming up, and we'll do it the day as well.
I saw that. I would like to thank JR for the videos that came out, aside from the one of me, giant head. But
It was difficult making that.
yeah, no, it was great. Everyone got the emails, and so I think definitely the word's getting out there. And JR's done a lot of really good stuff. And thank you, Julie. Thank you, Laura. And then we select board?
The select board.
Yeah, so I left the spaghetti dinner to meet Laura and Julie at the Highgate Select Board meeting. I have to say, that was actually a very good meeting. There was quite a few individuals who were there, so I want to thank the Select Board for the invitation for board members and for admin to go. I'll say Julie and Laura did a great job of sort of like advocating for what we did, and then for my part, as a board member, I just tried to make pretty clear, I think, where we're at, because there's a lot of individuals who are just not tracking the vote, and I think the reality is those that will vote against this budget are vocal and will vote. So if enough people who will support it don't come out and vote, I think, you know, we're going to be in that situation where it's just very close. So I think it was good, the opportunity to address some of those concerns and to do so directly.
There was a little old lady who took all my extra flyers to go hand them out to me.
She-
It was very positive. I thought that people had questions, you had good answers. The select board, even one select board member said he thought it was really helpful and supported the budget. Anytime people come out and say that, I think it's really helpful.
I do think some of the things like the QR code is really helpful and the link to an absentee ballot, because when you say you think that some families just don't track it, I agree. I think actually the demographic that has kids in school are the less likely to track it because they're just out straight in those years where you're going to the ball field, to this, and working and commuting. So I think those things are really helpful, especially closer to the vote, because I myself, even working here, have flown out my door at 6:30 in West Swanton, like, oh my God, right to vote, and cruising down 78 to make it in time. So I do think that's accurate. But the QR code and that link for absentee ballot, I think, are really, really helpful. And I heard that a lot at school from parents.
And I agree with you, Rennick. I think whenever I've seen JR put out some things, I usually snag it and put it on our social media and put it in our newsletter. And that's really great for me because I know that we have to be careful about the language that we use when it comes to voting. And I know that all of those things that have come through JR have been vetted through all of the right people. So that's really great, just to be able to snag those things and know that I don't have to bat an eye at the language and that stuff.
Yeah, we have a schedule between now and the vote to be sending information out, and also reminders to parents a couple times. We don't want them to tune us out, but we want to make sure you can still get your absentee ballot. Don't forget it's Tuesday. Oh, it's tomorrow. Oh, it's the informational meeting. Now make sure you come and vote. So we'll be doing that. We've been sending the videos out directly. We had the flyers. I got a flyer in my mailbox today.
Me too.
The videos getting sent out directly, as well as also social media. But it's just helpful. A lot of our parents get the messages on their phone. So when the phone comes up and there's a link, they can just say, oh, I get to vote tomorrow. It's much more present because most parents are not sitting on their email. Too busy.
I haven't driven by MVU this week, but do they have it?
Not yet, but it will be as we go.
There's twice as many yard signs out though, and we tried to distribute them
They're everywhere.
wider. We doubled the order.
But just to reiterate, I know we've already talked a lot about JR, but I am so impressed with his videos. They look so professional. It's like you look like it's on national TV, you know. It's
And
like,
his voice is so smooth.
Oh, I love it.
yeah.
And he's amazing to work with. I think sometimes, yes, we want to use very specific language, or we just want to be careful of certain things, and he never bats an eye. It's always constructive. He's so collaborative. It's great to work with him. And the board videos are great. I've watched them many times.
Yeah, your head wasn't that big.
It was shiny. Come on.
Did you make up first?
I thought you should have.
I think it's exactly what we needed. I think they're really great. Yeah.
I have heard that a lot because despite despite not always wanting to, I mean, online is where a lot of the parents are right now. And, you know, there are groups out there, especially on social media, that have 9 times the following of our school page. And while there's a lot of negativity in there, and a lot of the same people who have the same issues, there's been some interesting information, right? And I, for my part, single board member, I've tried to counter to some of that narrative. So there's a narrative that's going around that why is our budget increasing but the number of students is decreasing? And that's just patently false, right? We have more students now than we did, you know, a couple of years ago. So, but that's a narrative that people like to use, right? Or they like to say that it's disingenuous to quote unquote blame the CLA, which is not true. That is accounts for part of the tax increase that we can affect from our budget and not statewide. So there's just a lot of narratives that go around that I think when a board member goes out and kind of advocates against, and as I said in the Highgate meeting, I mean, if you don't like it, you can vote me out. I mean, that's just the reality of it. So, I mean, I think everybody's doing a really good job of just pushing and pushing, and fingers crossed for next week, and if not, we'll figure it out.
I also think it's really important, I have one principal here, to remind the staff who live in this area to vote, because the staff in itself can make quite a big difference, and I really would like to see that happen, that they are reminded to vote.
And we employ a lot of people.
On that, the informational is on Monday. Wanted me to make sure. Joanne was like, "You better make sure to talk about it."
Well, we should probably tell our audience here, we have an informational meeting on Monday, 7 p.m. at MVU. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And the vote is Tuesday, April 30th.
From 7
I'd just
a.m.
like to remind
7
everybody.
p.m.
So I will not be at the informational meeting unless I can get the evening off. So Rennick is going to be there to fulfill my
I will.
spot.
I will do it in your stead, Jen.
Thank you. So you guys are gonna read off the slides, or the slides will be playing behind. So maybe you guys can possibly get there a little early, or talk about it tonight, if who's gonna do which slides, or that way you can kind of, when you guys get there, you're not all wondering who's gonna read what.
If you want to get together on a Google Meet, you know, it's you and, I don't know if it's the finance committee that's going to do it, but that you could do.
So it's kind of carried over from before the what's the
Town meeting.
yes. So it's been a carry. Yeah. Sorry. It's
That's okay. It's
Monday.
So
been
Joanne,
a long couple of months
it is.
since town meeting.
Yes.
So Joanne and I have been going back and forth. All the board members did get an email from JR with the new informational slides. So I would just encourage, if anybody has any feedback, they're much shorter than the previous informational. I think there was only 8 or 10 slides. I gave some feedback to JR. If anybody wants to give any feedback, and maybe just include myself and Joanne. Yeah, and just little tweaks. I think the point is to less read from the slides, but just to have information, in the background, and then we can just speak to it.
So we just need to figure out who is going to speak to what slide.
Yeah, Joanne says she's gonna tell everybody what they're doing.
No,
I just asked because if you want to have a planning meeting, that doesn't have to, you know, you guys could just get together on a Google Meet and just chat about it. It doesn't constitute board meeting to plan for a meeting. Just wanted to make that clear.
Who's going to be at the information? So aside from Jen, do we know if Megan's gonna be there?
I'm gonna be there, I said.
No, so everyone's gonna be. I said is Jen will not.
I will not. Don, are you gonna be at the informational meeting?
Am I gonna be there?
Yes.
I plan to be, yes.
So everybody except for Jen is easier. It's easier.
Yeah.
Might want to check with
And we'll check with
Down.
Megan.
I'm sure she plans to be there.
Do you want the moderator to that meeting?
Who's the finance committee?
Purette and Elaine.
Do we want the moderator there for the meeting, like last time?
Wasn't it the last one?
Julie,
Yes,
do we want the moderator there?
it's up to the board.
What do you mean the one?
Tim Madden, our moderator, he facilitated.
Oh, I mean, sure. You want to invite him if he was at the last one? And I heard it went well. Yes.
You want to do?
Yeah, I told him when we were having, he said he was available, so
Oh,
I
good.
can let him know if you want him there, he'll be there.
Yes, please.
Great.
Thank you, Peter.
And then maybe we could do is just send an email out, and then any board member that wants to do a slide, just say, I'll do that slide, and we'll just.
Joanne's already given me mine.
There you go. Perfect.
Joanne will just assign things.
I started to. I have a draft going, and then I'm like, okay, Joanne, you need to like tone it down a little bit.
Well, it's also can just be organic. We have the slides, we can just talk to them, and anybody that wants to add and contribute to them, we can. They're short enough, and everybody has.
Should have a point person though, just so we're organized, but yeah, you're right, everybody can talk to them.
It's nice, clear information, so I think it lends itself to that.
Perfect. Future agenda items, guidance, end of year presentation, work-based learning information, wellness policy, teacher retention data. And who else knows? Next board meeting is gonna, why did I do that? Future board meeting, budget revote information meeting is on April 29th at 7 p.m. at MVU Library. And then our next board meeting itself will be at MVU on May 14th at 6 p.m.
We may need a special board meeting,
Right.
because of capital projects, whether the budget passes or does not
Okay.
pass. We may need to make some decisions and sign contracts or decide not to sign contracts. Hopefully deciding to sign contracts, but we wouldn't want to wait until May 14th. So we
Right,
may,
and the facility committee meets the Thursday after the vote. So next
Okay.
Thursday.
Great.
Would it be too much to have a finance committee before? Depending,
No, it's
if
just
we
I don't-
schedule,
Mhm.
if we had one scheduled possibly, depending
To
on how it
plan
goes.
either way, you mean? The problem is I would actually need action to happen. I would be bringing a contract that I would need signed so that we can immediately move and secure vendors and contractors. Some of them are very, very eager.
Okay.
So I'm happy to do that too, but
so we'll look at,
If the facility's
The
already on
timing.
that.
Okay.
it may, well, you know, if the budget passes, it may be the facility committee turns into a board meeting. Who knows? We could turn that into a but that would be discussed with Peter and the committee.
All right. So possible meeting in between.
Is the facility thing?
Okay, so now we need to go in, would somebody like to make a motion to go into executive session for the assistant principal hiring for Swanton, inviting in Julie.
I'll make the motion.
Mike is the first,
I'll second.
and Elaine is the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Carries 8-0.